Welcome to this week's episode of ClueCon Weekly. Joining us this week is a fellow Italian, fellow friend of the telecom and open source community, Diego Gosmar, and is vice president of operations, I think, at Xcali, and you have a host of other charges. But I think today I'd like to talk about your book, which is titled Machine Learning, the Sixth Chakra of Artificial Intelligence, which came out a while ago. And first of all, thank you for joining us. Second, looks like the book came out just at the right time.
Yeah, thanks for having me here, Luca. And actually, I published, the first version of the book almost 3 years ago.
Oh, wow.
It was during the COVID startup, actually. So I was at home looking to something, and I just wrote the book in a few months. And the funny thing is that probably in 3 years, I have a copy of the book here, and in 3 years, this is the last one is the 6th edition of the book, and I'm thinking to a 7th edition because so the reason behind that is those kind of topics are changing so fast with new things coming up that I need to keep the pace, and to do that, I will probably need to update the book once every quarter or something like that.
Wow. So, first of all, what prompted you to write a book about AI? Aside from, of course, being an expert, but I mean, not everybody who's an expert writes a book, so there's always that.
Well, many reasons. I wrote a book about open source telephony in the past, 10 years before. So I really like to share knowledge. This is part of my vision of the community. So this is the first reason. Second reason is that I was actually studying AI for many applications. So, we work mainly in the customer care applications, and there are multiple reasons to use AI nowadays, but even I started 5-6 years ago, more or less. I remember even at the ClueCon 3 years ago, I introduced a concept of a conversational AI and voice bot. It was quite at the beginning. At that time, it was still some experimental concept. Nowadays, we use even SignalWire. I see now that came up with a nice virtual agent application. But so, of course, the reason was also for personal and also business purposes. And also, I would say, I was studying, and while I was studying and learning and coding, I wrote the book actually. So step by step, it interested me, and I came up with a first release of the book.
So before we go into the content, that's something that's always fascinated me. Do you think writing a book helps you understand the subject better? Or even
Absolutely, yes. I totally agree with that. It's probably the main reason I wrote the book. So even when you do some training, I think. But yeah, writing a book helps you to diving in the topics. And many times, and it really helps you to understand better what's behind, because you need to describe that and to try to be as much clear as you can with the potential readers. So yeah, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you teach someone, you learn while you're teaching. It's a great way to truly know if you know a subject for sure. So,
and also I must say I appreciated the fact that sometimes people wrote me to understand something, and even to suggest to add me something on the book, and that's also part that I like very much, to have a feedback about that.
I think still, it being one of the best AI books out there, now it's probably the right time to. It's a good way to get started. Do you think you need technical expertise to get started on AI, or these days is our conversational AI is making things so different?
Yeah.
You still need to know something,
Well,
right?
well, it depends really on what are your purposes. But yeah, at the beginning, you should be at the beginning. Few years ago, I think that you had to be technical, but right now you can approach AI even if you are not technical. Of course, it depends where you want to go, but think about the new generative AI solution that came up. And those kind of solutions can actually empower your skills very much. For example, in marketing applications, in content writing, and now there are, I would say, very good user interface to at least to use the AI. Of course, you are not supposed to understand complex transformer or recurring neural network algorithms behind that. If you do that, okay, for other purpose, but you can use AI right now and also deeply use that without really a deep technical expertise.
Yeah, that leads me to the next question. So when we're talking about AI, very often one thing that comes up is what are the dangers of AI? Because if you read some, are there dangers first of all? Because if you go read, Hacker News every week, there's 10 people who signed a letter saying AI should be banned. Then the following week is 10 people who signed a letter saying AI should be given to everyone, and it's hard to figure out. So what are are there any dangers you see, and what are they?
Well, it's a complex matter, but I think this is a new set of technology, very, very quickly growing, and it's not something that you can, and it's not a growing that we can control very strictly. But in my opinion, it's really like many technology lacked in the past. And if you think about the industrial revolutions, people were scared as well at the beginning. Even if you think, I read an article very, very nice, if you think about the Greece mythology, when the human being created and discovered the fire, there is the Prometheus myth, okay? And so every new technology brings opportunity, but also a lot of fear. And of course, yes, AI can also be something that if you don't use well, could be dangerous. But it doesn't mean that we don't need to pursue that. Of course, this is a complex matter. My feeling is that it's an extraordinary opportunity to help us in many fields, from medicine, healthcare, to lifestyle, driving, traveling, and so on and so forth. Okay, so it brings a lot of opportunity, and it brings also a new kind of jobs. It's very interesting to understand. There are eminent research. One is from British Council, but there are others that say that the people, the child of today, so every new child today, the 65% of children will do a job that doesn't exist yet. If I think to myself, it's the same. Okay, if I don't know you, but probably also you, Luca. When we were born, if you think about that, we are doing now a job that it didn't exist that time. So AI will dramatically increase this. And of course, we are talking about opportunity, new job that we are not even capable of thinking about today. But there are also
it
the
doesn't
other
exist,
part.
we don't know what it is.
Yeah, and yeah, I think of course there are risks that we need to be aware of. We need to get prepared. Security risk. There is all branch that I'm following very much now about sustainable AI, ethical AI, which is most part of that is about ethics and data ethics. So how to use properly the data.
OpenAI just got sued for $3 billion by a group of people that are mainly Reddit and a few others, because they say content has been used without consent. That's a real concern. I mean, we don't use stuff like Copilot internally because we never know if our code is going to show up somewhere else a year from now. That's the problem.
Yeah, and you are right when you say that in this case, it's not the technology itself, it's how we use that, the potential issue. And but it's not just about that, it's also about fairness. There are three main point about sustainable ethical AI, which is fairness, so avoid discrimination, explainability, so the capability to understand why an AI machine made such a decision or made the other decision. And then, of course, the governance is also important. The governance of the AI, how we are going to take that under control.
Yeah, explainability has two aspects. One is technical, and the other, so explainability is a technical concept that says, how did it get to this result? But also, for example, if you ask GPT to tell you how to build a bomb, it will not tell you. Why is it not telling you? Because technically that's text like any other. That's a good question.
Yeah, it's probably a topic we could talk for many days, in my opinion.
It's just that it's so new, and so going back to the book, what's in there, and why should I read the book? That's always a good point to start.
That's a good question. No, I try to publish a book which is a technical book, but that can also be read by not very technical people, and that's the challenge of the book. So there are many chapters that you can read to understand more about how to use machine learning for AI applications at high level. And of course, there are other chapters when I dive very much in details about algorithms, even examples with some coding at the end of the book and also in the middle. Example, of course, from my experience, okay, how I did that and the other things. So the book is sixth chakra of AI. The reason behind that is because the sixth chakra is what we have here. So it's the, how to say in English, is the capability of making prediction. And of course, one part of the purpose of AI algorithms and machine learning is to make such kind of predictions, like more or less like a human being right now. So, and then there are also some interviews inside the book. One is one of the it's in the latest release. One is with Leonardo Chiariglione, who is an eminent guy. He's actually the creator of the MPEG standard.
Oh wow! Oh,
yeah. Yes, he is from Piedmont, from Italy, and he worked in the late 70s and 80s in a big company here, and he was one of the creator of the MPEG standard. And then there is also a preface by Shalini Kurapati, who is the CEO of a company, very interesting. It's a startup. I think it's no more a startup now. They are specializing in synthetic data generation, a very interesting topic, because even Gartner and other analysts, they say that the AI models will be trained in future not by using real data, well, few real data, but the most part of data, they will be synthetic, or if you prefer, fake data.
Now that's really interesting. What does that mean? Like, how do I train an AI on data that's not real? Like, this is honest question. I'm an
Yeah.
application developer, so I'm not an expert in this. How does it work?
Well, you take a small amount of real data, and then based on that, you do a pre-training, and based on that, you use actually machine learning to generate a lot of other new
Oh,
data,
I see.
which are
So for
synthetic. And you know what? One of the reasons behind doing that is the privacy issues. So
yeah,
if you think about privacy, one of the challenge that especially big corporations, but not just them, has is that they have a lot of data, but they cannot really disclose those data to make the training of the algorithms. And so this idea to use synthetic data has also this practical application, very interesting. But if you think more about, is just like what OpenAI and the other guys are doing, because the generative AI is something where you input a very short sentence, for example, like write me an article about, I don't know, machine learning, and the chat GPT will write you a full article with a lot of data inside. So from a small data, you will generate a lot of new data in that case.
or maybe if you need fake people data, for example, you could
So,
say, here's a list of five real people with their name, family name, phone number, and email address. Generate me 100,000 lines with fake data, and GPT will give you 100,000 people that don't exist. Kind of like the
yeah,
website that does photos, the photos of people that don't exist. You could use that to
yeah.
train, because that's you're right. So that's
And it's
actually
not
very
just,
interesting.
and
Yeah,
it's yeah, and it's not just for text right now. It's what we call multimodal. Okay, so you can do that even with image. With Midjourney, with Dali, you can say, okay, generate me a picture of I don't know, good vineyard with moons and something like that inside the picture, and it will generate you a new picture about.
absolutely. Yeah, one thing. So, since you are, well, the book speaks both about generative AI and newer forms of AI. Do you think generative AI has effectively killed what we call good old machine learning, like, I don't know, KNN analysis, or do you feel like we are overusing generative right now, and there should be a place for both in the market?
I think there is room for both yet in the market, because generative AI, let me say, what we call the general AI, okay, is something where you can ask many things to the machine and get a very generic answer. But if in many contexts, especially in the business application, or maybe you want to be very accurate in specific context. And yeah, I try to learn a little bit what OpenAI did, and also other competitors. They provide you a kind of context where you can actually make a deep training and specialize, okay, the model for that. But I still think for many application you need not just general AI, but also the old-fashioned narrow AI. Okay, maybe not by using the old statistical module. Maybe you can use new algorithms beyond the convolutional neural network that now they are using the transformers, and maybe something new that I still don't know that will come up later. But yeah, I think the mix of both, it's what I would be
Yeah,
using, especially in the business application.
I generally agree. There's a lot of people who are just, they just throw out their classifiers, for example, that used to for anti-spam, and they're all trying to do classifiers with GPT. But why are you doing classifiers with GPT when your old classifiers actually work? Like, it's everybody wants to use the new thing, but there's spaces for everything.
I would even say that not only must be machine learning. I mean, you
yeah.
need to use machine learning when it can provide you some benefit, but not all the applications, of course, needs machine learning. So, of course, on one side, AI is good, is great, but on the other side, maybe there is a little bit of hype sometimes about the misusage of that.
Yeah, sometimes right now I see applications for AI that should be an if, like literally if then else in the code. That's the only
Yeah.
like, if you need to do something based on a variable, it's called if, and we've had it for 50 years, probably a little
But
bit
you
more.
can put a payoff in the logo AI powered,
Well, technically, it's still very intelligent, right? It can tell if a number is 1 or 2. It's very, very intelligent. So that's. But yeah, it comes with every. Like we've seen that with blockchain. I think blockchain is less useful, and turned out to not be the revolution we thought, or maybe we're not ready yet. Blockchain will probably come back in 20 years when IoT is truly everywhere. At that point, we will need ways of verifying and tying information streams together. So maybe, but 3 years ago, you put blockchain everywhere. Like your you had just a desk phone, a new phone, you could make calls, but somehow it had blockchain in it, so that people could say they had a blockchain in their phone. And I think AI is similar, but it's far more useful. Well, speaking of things that are going to happen soon, I hear you'll be a speaker at ClueCon, which is 6 weeks away. And can you give us a sneak peek of what the topic will be?
Yes, this year I will be presenting a concept about about AI applications for customer care in a very niche, interesting market, which is what we call the smart water mobility. So imagine the use of intelligent bot, self-driving bots, water taxi. Okay, and we built a concept behind that with another startup company. They are very much specializing in the bot business. We do our part in the artificial intelligence, and I will try to show some example of conversational AI use for that. And I'm particularly interested in sharing also the case using that for disabilities and for people with disabilities as well. So yeah, that's a part of the topic that I will be covering, and I'm trying right now actually to do something even with the new. I have a call later with the free switch guys to do something with the signal wires on that as well. I hope that I will have the time to do that, and why not? Maybe, but I need to be prepared before that. Some dangerous demo if the dangerous demo James Buddy guy will be there.
Yeah, James is looking forward to our demo. So yeah, it's going to be
I think
fun.
he is looking forward for a big crash.
Yeah, we were discussing recently, and I asked him if anything actually burned, and apparently it happened once. Like one time, something started smoking. So it has happened that something has crashed and burned for real.
It was not an electric car.
No. I think it was something like a Raspberry Pi who didn't have the dissipator glued on properly, so it just burned out when it started getting a million calls from FreeSwitch or whatever. So it's interesting. Well, it's easy to burn stuff up with AI too. Like just start a training and it will just stop working. Anything will stop working. Yeah. It is very well. I really like the concept of applying AI to disability and to helping people who need that kind of help, because it's really truly a way to show we're not just trying to take jobs away from people.
Absolutely, yes. But I think especially this year, I see a lot of shift in that paradigm, like AI just trying to remove jobs. Of course, unfortunately, the new technology will also substitute some jobs, but they will also create opportunities in many areas. So I will try to show this concept and get some. So please, I look forward to meeting with as many people as we can at the next ClueCon in Chicago.
I do too. Next ClueCon, by the way, is in August 14th to 17th at the Drake Hotel in Chicago. Well, you can still get tickets. I think speakers are being announced, and well, I'll be there. We'll be doing a lot of training, a lot of interesting stuff. So come join us. Well, I mean, Diego, thank you for joining us today. The idea of AI is, again, you started before it was cool, but now it's even cooler. So it is. It's always good to have an expert.
I need to think to something else. Yeah,
but please tell me first, so I can buy the correct stocks for companies. So if you think there's something new coming up that's gonna be as big as AI, send me an email before you just publish something, so just buy the right stock.
Sure thing. Thanks for having me here today, Luca, and I look forward to meeting you all guys at the next ClueCon in Chicago, August. I will be there at August the 5th, but it takes a few days this year. I think
from the 14th to the 17th is the actual ClueCon.
Yeah,
then
exactly.
Monday there's the games and training, and then 3 days of conference. Cool. So thank you very much, Diego, for joining us today. I look forward to seeing you in Chicago or on a golf course somewhere.
Wow. Me too. Take care.
And for the rest of the people, I'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye.